Cash in the bag, stadium packed.
Hey friends, it's Jasmine, and I hope that you all are doing well. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I am a witchy content creator here on YouTube. So if you're into all things witchcraft, paganism, folklore, definitely check out my channel. And if you are a returning subscriber, thanks so much for coming back. So today, I kind of plan on doing a video response to Cricket Song's video, teachers/mentors. Are they needed? Are they important? What's the difference? And I think that Cricket Song did a really good job on their video. And so I'm going to link their video down below in the description. And I definitely recommend that you go check out their video and listen to some of the things that they had to say on this topic. As I was watching their video, I couldn't help but agree with a lot of what they said, although I do have some to add to this conversation, so that's why I'm making this video. In today's video, I wanted to talk about teachers and mentors and the craft. I think this is such a great topic, and I find it a topic to be one that is often talked about. Questions are asked, especially when it comes to new people coming into the craft. And as someone who admins a witchy Facebook group, which is central to the 317 area code. So it's called Witches and Pagans of Indy, as in Indianapolis, a gathering. And this Facebook group is one that I started, I don't know, about 6-7 years ago, I believe, and we've grown exponentially in our membership. And this is a Facebook group that primarily serves Indiana, more specifically Indianapolis. I started the Facebook group a while ago because at that time I was looking for a Indianapolis specific Facebook group, and we had some for Indiana, but at that time we didn't have any for my city specifically. And I am someone who very much likes to use social media as a powerful networking tool, or as a way to kind of stay up to date on events or other things going on in my local area, as well as abroad. And so I started that Facebook group, and whether it be in that Facebook group or whether it be in other Facebook groups, something I see being asked a lot are people looking for mentors. I see that also here on YouTube. There are people who offer mentorship. There are people who offer classes and teach classes. And so I think it's best if we just kind of talk about that a little bit. Now, I plan on making a video all about red flags or things to look out for when it comes to finding teachers or finding mentors. How do you know who's the right one for you, where to look, things like that. And I want to make that an entirely separate video. I really want to focus on just talking about the differences and ways teachers and mentors can be of service to you. So to me, a teacher is someone who is teaching something specific, and a teacher is someone who likely has some sort of credentials or background in what they are teaching, but it would be like a specific thing. To me, a mentor is much more loose and much more abstract and not as literal. A mentor to me would be someone who, you know, maybe has some more experience in XYZ fields and is willing to kind of take you under their wing or have like a big brother, little brother, big sister, whatever relationship with you and help guide you and things like that. And it's much more abstract, as opposed to teacher is like, I am teaching this. So for example, and I'm just talking about my own perspective, my own opinion here. I'm not talking about, you know, anything else. I'm only speaking from my heart and my lived experience. For me as a teacher, I personally teach multiple different metaphysical and occult classes. I've also been a student of multiple metaphysical and occult classes. As many of you know, I first got into working in the metaphysical industry at about 19 years old, and I've been in this industry ever since, working at metaphysical stores, doing freelance work, working on phone lines, working, you know, in brick and mortar stores, working at bars and restaurants, doing psychic reading events. In a myriad of ways, I have been working in the metaphysical industry. through working in this industry, not only have I learned so much, but I've also grown a lot as a person. And my personal craft and my background has ultimately been shaped by my teachers or people whose classes I have gone to. And to me, a teacher is someone who, like I said, is teaching something specific. So oftentimes, especially in metaphysical stores, some very popular classes that you will find will be like psychic development classes, meditation workshops, as well as usually some sort of divinatory art course or class. And through taking these psychic development classes, through learning divination on my own, as well as taking online and in-person classes myself, I have learned more about myself and I have connected more to my own divinatory arts and my practice by doing so. And I've been teaching divinatory classes, occult classes, for about the past 5 years, give or take. However, when it comes to being a teacher for me and how I look at this is, if you are one of my students and if I am teaching you, let's say, tarot, because today starts our 6-week course of the TTC, the tarot training course. If I am your teacher in this class, I am teaching you for the duration of this course, and I am specifically teaching you, in this example, RWS, Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot, and this particular divinatory language system. I'm not teaching in this course other aspects of the craft. I'm specifically teaching RWS. So that is something that separates to me a mentor from a teacher. I am teaching the curriculum. I am teaching some sort of structured system, right? And then mentorship to me is more like what we have within our coven, where we have initiated members and members who have been in the coven or who are second degree, maybe might mentor or take under their wing or teach our specific tradition to our initiates and to our members. A mentor to me is also a relationship that is more personal than just a teacher, whereas a teacher is sticking to a specific curriculum, sticking to a particular topic and teaching that topic and taking you from point A to point B in this sort of perspective. Whereas a mentor is someone who, you know, you can kind of go to and seek wise counsel or wisdom or advice about a myriad of topics, as opposed to just one sort of train of thought, idea, curriculum. I hope that makes sense. Now, of course, I'm only speaking from my own perspective and my own opinion here, so I don't want, you know, the wider witch community to come for my throat, because like I said, I'm only speaking from my own lived experience, my own opinion here. To answer the question of, do I think mentors or teachers are necessary? I think, not to be the cliche witch trope of yes but no here, yes but no. I think that teachers and mentors are necessary, while at the same time I don't believe that they are absolutely needed. And maybe that sounds a bit contradictory. And so what I mean by this is, do you need someone to teach you witchcraft? Yes and no. If you are looking to join a specific tradition or practice a specific lineage of the craft, do you need a teacher for that? Well, yes, you would need a teacher for that. And in fact, kind of like Cricket Song said in her video, many traditions are going to require that from you before you even initiate. Or it's a part of the requirement for being a member of that tradition, is that you're committed to learning that tradition's lineage, that tradition's magical sort of values and mindsets, and clinging to those and holding those values true within your heart. However, if you are an eclectic witch, I don't necessarily think that you need a teacher per se. I think that when it comes to specific aspects of the craft, like let's say tarot, for example, traditional tarot, Rider-Waite-Smith, is something that no one is innately born with this knowing. Yes, you might have intuition. Yes, you might have psychic abilities. And yes, you might feel an inclination to the current of RWS. But no one is born speaking it, because it kind of is a structured divinatory language. Now, don't get me wrong. I absolutely believe that you can be a powerful reader and not read RWS. I believe that you can use all types of divination systems without any sort of formal training, because we all have this innate intuitive instinct to some level, to some degree. The clairs, whether it be clairsentient, claircognizant, clairvoyant, etc., are a part of you. You might have some that are stronger than others, but you don't need a traditional divinatory system in order to be a powerful reader. However, I do think that it can greatly help your reading to have some sort of solid foundation and solid structure. I do also think too that witches of my generation, speaking from the millennial generation here, I think that our generation, with our Plutonian Scorpio astrological placement that we have for our astrological generation, if you will, very much goes against the grain. I think that my generation as a whole are very into going against the grain, breaking traditions, kind of Hierophant reverse sort of energy. And I think that oftentimes this whole idea that however you practice is valid is very much preached. And to some extent, I do agree with that. But kind of like when we're talking about tarot here, and I'm just using this as an example, you can read tarot cards however you want, theoretically. But is that really reading tarot, in my personal opinion? No. If you are reading tarot, you should be reading these divinatory systems such as Tarot de Marseille, Lenormand, or Rider-Waite-Smith. These are these languages. These are organized languages. If you are reading tarot without this foundation, or if you are reading tarot without knowing this language, then in my opinion, you are actually doing this divinatory system a bit of a disservice, because that's how it is designed. And then also too, and I know that's an unpopular opinion, but also too, you're reading it like an oracle. And there's a myriad of oracle decks, all different types of oracle decks on angels, demons, unicorns, mermaids, vampires, gothic, witchy, whatever you're interested in. Those are oracle decks that are designed to kind of be catered to your own personal intuition. So do I think teachers are necessary in the craft? No, I don't. I also think that if you are actively practicing witch, if you are communicating with your spirits, and if you are working with your understanding of divinity, whether that be your higher self, one God, multiple gods, two gods, whatever, if you are connected to your ancestry and working with your ancestors, I also believe that you can receive wisdom from across the realms and across the veils. I don't think that you always need to have a physical teacher, but I do think that it can greatly benefit you and benefit your practice to have some sort of formal, organized curriculum or structure here. However, there is not really a teacher for just witchcraft. There are teachers of specific traditions of the craft, and there are teachers of specific avenues. Like there are people who can teach you astrology or tarot or sigil craft or candle magic or runes, right? Like there are people who teach specific things, but witchcraft is such a big, broad term that there isn't really just one person who can teach you the entirety of all of it, unless you're looking at, like I said, a specific tradition. Now, when it comes to mentors in the craft, do I think that mentors are necessary? Once again, kind of yes, but no. And I know that that's an obnoxious answer, but I think it's a mix of both. And I think like most things in the craft, there is this gray area. Things are not always just black or white, especially when it comes to the occult. So in my definition, a mentor is kind of a personal relationship that you have with someone who has been doing what you have been doing longer, and is someone who you would value their input and their wisdom, and it's someone who you are going to for their wise counsel. So that's different than a teacher, because a teacher is teaching you a specific thing, versus a mentor is kind of almost like a big brother, big sister, big sibling sort of relationship. So I think that that's a nice thing to have if you are fortunate enough to have it. I think that you can find mentors, you know, in person, maybe in your local community if you're lucky enough, or there's also online mentors. There's definitely people who I have been watching even here on YouTube for years, who I definitely kind of look up to and look at their wisdom and hear what they have to say. Cricket Song, you would be one of them. ultimately, when it comes to the craft, I think that you have to really go back to your gut instincts and go back to your intuition. And if you are looking for a teacher, I believe that metaphysical stores or occult shops in your local area, if you're fortunate enough to have those, are going to be some of the best places to find in-person teachers. Said most shops that are brick and mortar are going to be offering some sort of course, curriculum, or class, and that's a great place to find a teacher if you are interested in one. However, with the modern era of things kind of shifting more towards being online, especially with the plague, there are tons of people also offering classes online if you are looking for a teacher as well. Shameless plug here, down below in my description bar, you will find a link to my Patreon. All of my class curriculums that I've made, as well as lecture videos, are on my Patreon. So if you're interested in kind of taking a self-taught approach with my material, you can subscribe to my Patreon and get classes that way. I personally also offer in-person classes at our shop if you're able to make it in person, but I also offer online. So feel free to send me a message if that's something that you're interested in. Now, as far as mentorship goes, I think this is something that is typically, in my opinion, kind of more divinely guided, in the sense that you're not going to go about finding a mentor the same way you would a teacher. Like I said, to me, a teacher is kind of a bit more traditional, structured, and organized, and they're teaching you a specific thing, and they're taking you from point A to point B on a very specific topic. Whereas a mentor is kind of more of that big brother, big sister sort of relationship. And a mentor to me is someone who would be coming into your life at a specific time, and you will just have a knowing, and they will have a knowing, and it will kind of be a bit of kinship between you both, and you'll be able to recognize it when it happens. To me, a mentor, a true mentor, and this is kind of going a little bit into the territory of red flags to look out for, but to me, a mentor is someone who comes into your life organically without even you having to search them out. And if you are part of a coven or a kindred or a grove or whatever word we want to use, right? If you're linked in or connected to a tradition, you're much more likely to come in contact with someone who might be a mentor for you. And this is because the caveat or the downfall, I personally feel like, with just being eclectic and not being connected to a tradition is I don't really think someone can truly mentor you in your path if you are on an eclectic path, because that would be entirely your own and of your own understanding. And so you kind of have to then, if you are an eclectic witch, rely on your own spirits, your own ancestors, your own understanding of divinity, and you have to kind of learn from across the realms and the veils. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that, part of this dialogue comes from the fact that so many people who are coming into the craft or paganism, because I know that they're separate, but I'm kind of talking about both of these here. Part of it is I think that a lot of people who have come from more Abrahamic backgrounds have these systems kind of woven into their faith and into their traditions. So, like, for example, if you're a member of a church or a mosque, right, there would be a priest or a nun or an imam or someone who would be able to help guide you in this particular faith. If you are an eclectic witch, there is not per se an eclectic witch's temple. So you have to rely and fall back on your own path and your own practice. And that is something that I have consistently had to do myself. As someone who has kind of always been a bit eclectic, I've never necessarily had a true mentor for myself. I've had people who I look up to and people who I greatly respect within my local or online witchy pagan, communities, but I've never really had a true mentor in the craft. Now, with that also being said, I've had people, especially with putting on rituals within the solar court, being a high priestess, things like that. I've had people who have looked at me for mentorship, and I always have a little bit of a pause, to be honest. And that is because there can be a lot of downfalls, I feel like, for a witch's personal growth by relying on someone else for information. Now, going back to the teacher point, if you are looking to learn a specific thing, I think teachers can be great. But mentors, if it's not an organic relationship that develops between two people, and especially if there's money involved, I think that mentorship can become a little bit manipulative or even exploitative. I don't want to get too much into this video because I do want to separate these videos and I don't want this video to be too long, but I hope you kind of catch what I'm saying here. So in a nutshell, just to rehash what I've said, I think that a teacher is someone who teaches you something specific, and they're taking you from a beginner or a novice's understanding to an intermediate or even an expert understanding. I think that they should have some sort of background that kind of gives them the authority to teach whatever they're teaching. And I think that it's more of a teacher-student sort of relationship, whereas a mentor to me is a much more personal and intimate relationship, even a friendship possibly. And a mentor to me is kind of more like a big brother, big sister sort of relationship. And it's more of an ongoing thing. Whereas the teacher is taking you from the beginning of the course to the end to graduation, and then that's it. And maybe you maintain a relationship with that teacher, and maybe that teacher even becomes like a mentor to you. But a mentor to me is something more abstract, something more long-standing, and it's a more intimate relationship that to me can't necessarily be bought with money. It just comes organically. And both people, the mentor and the mentoree, kind of have to choose each other. It's not something, in my opinion, that can be purchased with money. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and definitely check out Cricket Song's video down below in the description. I would love to hear from you. How do you define a teacher and a mentor? What are the differences? What are the similarities? Comment down below. I would love to hear about it. And let me know too what experiences you have had with teachers or mentors in the craft. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please make sure to give this video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more from me, and make sure you hit that bell because YouTube's algorithm has not been kind to me. So hit that bell. Check out all of my links down below, and until next time, blessed be.
Back, stadium packed, born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up, cap.